All right, just spoke for about 10 minutes on FCA essentials. Those are things you need to do for any FCA. Now we're going to take a few minutes to talk about facility dude essentials. So if you're doing an FCA with inventory for the facility dude protocol, everything we mentioned in the last session still applies, but you're also going to have these facility dude components to worry about. The number one of which, facility dude, at its heart, is an inventory job. One of our prime duties is to go out there and capture all the mechanical equipment that's in scope. And not only capture it, but most line items demand for an individual inventory assessment. So, exhaust fans is a prime example. On some FCAs, especially in the old world, we were able to group those items into one line item with a quantity and an average condition and an average CFM. When you're doing an inventory job, almost everything you're doing demands an individualized line item with its own make, model, and serial number. And we don't want those fields blank. If any of that information was not available, we now implemented and integrated into our tools choices to explain why that information wasn't captured. Uh, Provide an exact capacity when known. We brought back the capacity field at long last in Asset Calc. You need to type in your exact capacity when you know it. And we have some visuals down here. Uh, Locations and sublocations are a very big deal to facility dude, where that component resides. And associated with that is if they give us a very discrete location list or even sublocation list, they might even go down to the room 102, room 104. Part of our contractual agreement is for MEP equipment that's being inventoried, we have to match that with the location list provided or the lowest level of location that they're giving us. The the architectural stuff we can still kind of assign higher up at the building level, but it is very important that the MEP components get assigned a location down as far as you can drill. So some visuals to go with this, stressing the inventory piece of this. Here's what the inventory slice looks like in Asset Calc. It is expected that you fill out all these fields. These yellow kind of exclamation points with a drop down, these are the choices that have been added. I believe the one says no tag or data plate found. One says illegible. The sun has faded it off or it's just worn such that you can't read it. The third choice is inaccessible. You know there's a data plate, say on the back of the griddle, but the griddle is against a wall and it's kind of bolted to the floor with all this other stuff around it, and there's no way you can see that data plate. So, kind of the three standard choices, they're in drop downs in both Asset Calc Home and Asset Calc Go. So, one last note, barcode, this is the one field you're allowed to leave blank. So, if you're not sticking a sticker on an item or recording the number off of a sticker that is already on something, if that is not part of scope, and a lot of times that is not part of our standard scope, this is the one field you're allowed to leave blank. All these other fields, if you're doing an inventory exercise, need to be filled out with something. And just one note, sometimes people get confused. These are only for MEP items. If these are architectural site type items, then obviously you're not filling in this data plate kind of information. Here's the same stuff, just what it looks like in Asset Calc Go. Same fields. This is the field tool. So here's most of your data. The capacity field's over here. We have some additional information here too, where we're kind of being specific about year installed. This data is going to make its way over to Asset Calc proper too. It's not here yet. That's coming at literally any day. But in the tool, you can indicate whether was this date from a data plate. It was stamped. It's an actual date. It's real. Some guy told you it's something as the second choice, and sometimes you just have to make your best estimate. This gives us clear reporting about where this year came from. What these buttons do here, the yellow button with the scanner, These turn on the scanner on the iPad Pro and let you scan in these numbers. A lot of times barcode is the most common, but a lot of times model and serial number for certain manufacturers, these are scannable too. Saves you a lot of time in the field. It's worth the time to do it rather than transposing this data from a photo later. And finally, these orange or salmon type colored buttons, these give you the standard answers again, the same ones you can get here of data plate not found, illegible, or inaccessible data plate. Lastly, but certainly not least, stressing the folders and subfolders, locations and sublocations idea with the facility dude client. It is a very common hierarchical structure. Not sure that's a word. But you have your main school or site here up at this upper level, and then you have these sublocations or parts of the building at this lower level. And wanted to stress one last time that inventoried MEP items go here. The 2 air handlers that are in the gym go in this folder. The kitchen equipment that's in the cafeteria go here. The central plant heating and chilling system components that are in the first floor mechanical room would go here. Back up here, this is where you put your architectural stuff. Site could be a subfolder down here. If it's not, you would put it up at that level there. Grouped MEP that's throughout the whole building. You don't want to limit that to one of these locations. You would put that up here at this level. So just a clarification here, and this can get tricky. Some of the clients get crazy about sublocation. Talk to your program manager exactly what component should go where if there's any question. One last point, your photo log generally lives at this level too. You don't have a first floor photo log or a cafeteria photo log. You have a you have a photo log for your site. Okay.